I made my first million within a few weeks of starting that thing. When I want to do something, I go all in with doing it. But I thought I could aggregate vendors and create a marketplace. This was way before Konga and Jumia.
Yeah.
You know, so many things that I know now. I wish I knew it then. The level of access we have to information right now is a blessing. The struggles I had while I was growing, if it was this age where information is so readily available, I feel like it won't be as difficult. Oh my God. Because I had access to the top, CEOs in Nigeria that I could have created and sustained a relationship with, but I didn't handle it properly. Sincerely, at that point, I was discontent with how my life was going, because that was not how I saw it. I was struggling as a freelancer.
Wow.
That was 2005 or 6.
Writing codes.
Yes. Yes, I was.
Hello, everybody. Once again, welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneurs Connect show. As always, what we do here is interview African entrepreneurs from different industries, niches, or sectors. What the goal is that we are going to learn from their journeys, from everything they've done in business, their successes, even their failures, and every other thing in between. At the end of the day, after watching this show, you'll go home with something you can apply immediately in your life and business to see massive growth. Welcome to today's episode. We have somebody very, very amazing in the house, a trailblazer in the e-commerce and education industry. Somebody I respect so much, by the way. Her name is Website Chic, aka Mayowa. Good to see you. Welcome on the show.
Thank
How
you.
are you doing? Hope good.
I'm very well.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling this Lagos weather?
It's okay. I think this weather is better than what we had like 3 months ago.
Oh, so Lagos.
Yeah, so it's
terrible.
Cool right now. What are you saying? Lagos is very what?
Lagos is always very terrible, right?
No.
Just
Lagos.
say it. You are saying it. Say it.
No, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
Lagos is sweet. I love Lagos.
You mentioned that the last 3 months the weather was terrible.
No, I said the weather is not the same as what we have now. I didn't say it was terrible.
Okay, how was the weather?
How was the weather 3 months ago? It was quite hot, not terrible. There's
terrible.
nothing terrible in Lagos. No, this is my Lagos.
Any Lagos slander, call me.
Do not slander Lagos.
All right, great. Welcome on the show. So good to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
A lot of our female listeners, from time to time, after like a few episodes, and they say that I'm interviewing like male entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
they will
they
come
call
and
you
send
out.
a DM.
Oh, DM. Why DM? They should have called you out. Why?
Interview female entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Chill.
No, chill. No. In fact,
I try as much as possible. It ain't just that easy sometimes.
Why?
I mean, I'm so number one. Should I be saying this publicly? But I don't have access to a lot of female entrepreneurs like that. I mean, I'm male, so my circle of friends, most of the time, the people that I can reach out to are
I can understand that.
the male folk. Okay. And the female folk, sometimes people can just be difficult, unnecessarily difficult. And all of that. I mean, before I came to Lagos, I was planning my trip. I tried to send somebody a DM. She did not respond. I tried to send somebody else to reach out to her. And then she goes, then send me a mail. Do I really want to communicate via email right now? This is not a serious show. Right? But anyway, that is still in the works. Thank you for honoring my invitation. Welcome on board. What's your expectation for the show today?
Well, I'm expecting to have an intellectual conversation. I'm expecting to have a very interesting, conversation, which I think that is already happening. And I also want to be able to impact the audience, everybody listening. I'd like to be able, I would be happy if when you hear me, you're able to take 1 or 2 things that you can apply on your own journey as an entrepreneur.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's get started, right? So tell us who is Mayowa and where does your story start?
Wow. Well, Mayowa. My name is Mayowa Adeoti, by the way. Like you said, I'm known in the online space as Website Chic. How did the story start? Currently, I run an agency. called WC Digital Services, and we help small business and medium enterprises to set up systems, that helps them in their business growth.
Yeah.
We take care of business automations, marketing automations. We set up everything around digital transformation that you need to grow your business. And as a personal brand, I also coach coaches. Yeah. So well, yes, if you are a top business leader, for example, or you a business owner with a lot of experience, I coach them, to set up their coaching program. Right. This is leading to somewhere. And I got to all this by starting from wanting to study medicine.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I had always wanted to, I think maybe my parents, they wanted me to be a doctor. So I grew up thinking that I should be a doctor until one day, of course, I didn't get the right cutoff mark to study medicine. And then one of my daddy's staff at the office, our uncle, was the VC in the university I wanted to attend. So it was easy access for us to get into the VC's office. And the VC asked me, and the VC thought, I think it was just the Holy Spirit talking through him. So he asked me, do you actually want to be a doctor? And I said, no. And my dad was like, I said, no. So he said, what do you want? I said, I want to study computer science. And he said, oh, really? And he looked at it and said, oh, your cutoff mark would easily enter computer science. And that was it. So I studied computer science in the university.
What was the experience like studying computer science in Nigerian university?
Okay. At some level, some of the lecturers at my university then were really good, and it gave me a very good foundational knowledge of systems, processes, logic, right? And then it also introduced a test, in me to want to know more behind applications. At that time, it was the onset of the internet. It was the internet age in Nigeria at that time. It was when it was just, and when we started using internet, we were exposed to a lot of things, and I wanted to know more. So at that time, they were teaching us Pascal as programming language. And, but then I moved close to people that were, already programmers at that time. And that was how I picked up programming, right before I left the university. Yes, I was writing code. I was very, very, active with that. I would carry my system. I had all the CPU different, monitor different. I'll carry my CPU. Another person will carry monitor. Yes, on the head, we'll go into the school because of lights so that we could at least code for like 2 to 4 hours. I was like the only girl in the midst of like 7 guys that time that were all programmers in our class, because then we were a class of about 200, but less than 10 programmers. But I was really, really interested in that. And I graduated, with programming knowledge, went for service, got back from service, got a job immediately as a programmer. And that was how I came to Lagos.
Beautiful.
So I got a job as a programmer. I was writing ASP.NET, at that time. And
what year was this?
Okay, so this was 2005 or 6.
Wow.
That was 2005 or 6.
They were writing codes.
Yes.
In 2005.
Yes, I was. Yeah, so I came to Lagos and I started working with, at that time, this company had one of the first e-commerce organizations in Nigeria at that time. It was a startup, right? This guy had just come from, he used to live abroad. He came and he started his own thing. He's also a programmer, by the way. So there was part of that company, there was an e-commerce, and then he had when I started with them at that point, they had a social media platform, something close to Facebook at that time, but mostly for relationships, for dating. So you want to meet with people you can date and all that. And then, of course, we also work with organizations that, wants to create websites and maintain their websites and all that. So I started on there as a programmer, and, I had... everything I knew about programming was what I learned by myself. And of course, maybe I had some mentors, teach me, because I moved close to my seniors that were programmers while I was in the university. And that was what actually, made me interested in programming in the first place. I started work and it was not the same thing. It was really tough. To be honest, my parents didn't want me to come to Lagos. And my dad had told me when I was leaving for Lagos that he gives me 3 months, that I'll be back in 3 months.
You know that Lagos is not a good place.
Please stop that, because...
Your father knows.
Oh, no, he didn't, because I proved him wrong. Well, I'm here. I'm in Lagos today.
Yeah. Yes, that is so.
How many years down there? I'm not surviving. I am thriving in Lagos.
One out of many people that survive this place.
I'm not surviving. I am thriving. So you need to know, Lagos is a good place. I'm telling you for a fact. Anyway, it was tough, because I was living where I live and where I work was really very far. And look at me coming all the way from Ibadan, where if you want to go to, there's no matter how far it is, in 20 minutes you will get there. I came to Lagos. I was working at Okwebi. I was living at mile 2. It was really very far, and my boss was...
That's around 2005. This Lagos traffic, was it still existent?
It was terrible that time. I think it is even maybe better now.
So
that time it was terrible.
You have been suffering in Lagos from 2005 till now.
Oh my gosh. No.
You're not like suffering.
I'm not. I didn't suffer at any point.
Okay.
I didn't suffer. I had some learning
make
points.
You Lagos State ambassador.
Yes, I believe so. Because I love Lagos, really. I don't see myself living anywhere. Maybe go on holidays to other states in Nigeria. I go to Ibadan now. My mom is still in Ibadan, so I go there once in a while. But because I had that thing in my mind that my father had told me that in 3 months I'll be back, because there was another job for me at Ibadan then. I had 2 choices. So I chose the one in Lagos because it's more of programming, and I wanted to really develop myself in programming. So I came into Lagos, started working with this company, started learning, and then there was no closing time at the workplace, because my boss will tell you that I don't care what you do. Just finish your task for the day. Anytime you finish it, you can go. So if you don't finish it 10 p.m., because he's still there in his office also programming, So anytime when I have issues, maybe there's a bug and I've been struggling with the bug, trying to sort it out, and then I go to him and he'll be like, Mayowa, look, I have my own that I'm dealing with. Go and Google it. Today, when I tell people that, the things that time, Google was very new. And he will just tell me, go and Google it. Don't you know how to use Google? Go and Google it. And then I will sit down with Google. I will start struggling, go to different kind of forums. What is happening with my code? Why is it not working? And within 6 months, I became a supervisor because, I started learning. I sometimes, even if I finish my tasks early, I will stay at the office till like 10 p.m., 11 before I even go home. I get home very late in the night, and, very early in the morning, I was back. And because I enjoyed what I was doing then, that was how I learned. And in 6 months, I became a supervisor. After 1 year, I left. So I left that company for another company.
How did you feel when you were leaving?
Oh, he didn't expect it, But there is something which is something that I would tell, people watching, especially if you are still in 9 to 5, wherever, if you are leaving any company, please always leave on a good note. Give notice. I've never left an organization without giving them proper notice. So I gave him a 1 month notice. He didn't like it, but he didn't, I wanted to move. I got a better opportunity, and he was like, oh, is there anything I can do and all that? And because I said no. I would rather move to that other company. And I worked my 1 month notice and I left. Because, at that time, I said I was already the head of the department, even though it was 1 year by the time I was leaving. I left to go into another company that I didn't spend up to 6 months. Because along the line, I had an accident, and I was hospitalized for over, I think, about 6 weeks. And then after I was discharged, I needed to be going to the hospital because I was still carrying neck braces and all that. Oh, it was a very serious. I went to, visit my sister at Abeokuta. So I was coming back and then I had the accident. Okay. It was really serious. So I left this other company because of that. I couldn't cope. And the fact that I also felt like, I didn't like how my boss handled the situation at that time when I was in the hospital. After that, I felt like, I have some ideas. I know how to do this thing. Let me start my own business now, So, I became well. I came back to Lagos. And then by that time, I got my own apartment. So I wasn't living I was living with my auntie before. Yeah, I got my own apartment. I wasn't married yet at that point. And I started my own business. I got my first grant. There was a competition then by an organization, led by Tonyeko. So it was a business plan competition. This was, I think, 2008. Okay. Yeah, I think 2008 or 2009, about. And, so I had this competition and I won 350,000 naira or so at that time.
And that was competition like?
It was just, if you have a business idea, create a business plan and present it. And then, in the panelists we had, we had, I forgot.
It's a very long time, actually.
It was a very long time ago, yeah. But we had, very top of big organizations at that time, and so many things that I know now. I wish I knew it then. Oh my God. Because I had access to the top, CEOs in Nigeria that I could have created and sustained a relationship with, but I didn't handle it properly. I would go to one of them, actually, Mrs. Doyin Odunfa, I met her in Dubai last year when I went for the International Women's Conference organized by Ibukun Awoshika. I met her for the first time since that time. I met her in that program. And I went down memory lane and I was like, man, why didn't I handle these things? I got the grant. I started my first company with that grant. And the idea I had that time, based off what I was doing with my boss, with my first boss that had an e-commerce company where he had a physical store, right? He has a physical store, created an e-commerce, website for it, and people were buying, even though at that time, we were using SpectraNet. There was no smartphone at that time. It was still Motorola and all this was on Nokia, and I had this idea then that, why not? I can aggregate vendors. I don't have money, to stock any product. But I thought I could aggregate vendors and create a marketplace. This was way before Konga and Jumia, you know, and that was the idea I presented to them, and they really liked it. They think, okay, you can try. And then I called my brother. My brother I think he just finished secondary school that time. I said, come to Lagos. So we'll go inside Yaba, went to Alaja stores, you know, all these popular stores in Yaba, bookstores and all that. I would take pictures. I created this thing by myself. You know, all these photo boxes. Yeah. I created a photo box. I bought a small camera. You know, we'll go take pictures and all that. I created the vendor marketplace. I coded it. I used, you know, that time ASP.NET to create the site. Integrated with InterSwitch. InterSwitch was the only payment gateway at that time. Integrated with InterSwitch, and I started that business. And then what happened? The business died because it was ahead of its time. That was what killed it. Because I started getting orders. I would get an order from products, that they want this. And then because my vendors, they are not able to reconcile their stock on my website because they don't have internet. I am the one who, so I would now go, and then they will say, oh, that particular item is out of stock. They just bought the last one yesterday. Okay, so when are you getting another? Maybe another month, maybe in 1 month. And then the person that I paid money will say, oh, please refund my money. I would have to refund. It was such, you know, it was just everything I had to there was so much refund, and I couldn't handle it again. So I stopped, and
that was how the business died.
That was how the business died.
What did you learn from running the business and everything?
Okay. The first thing that I learned from, you know, running the business is that I think that sometimes you would have ideas that can be ahead of its time. You know, be sure that you have everything to make it work before you venture into it. So I spent a lot of time like sleepless nights, you know, because when I want to do something, I go all in with doing it. So, you know, I did. It was successful. I won't call it a failure because I learned a lot of things, you know, there. And then I also learned that there is really nothing impossible. Because when I wanted to venture into it, I didn't even see. The only sample that I had at that time was Amazon. That was the only sample that I could say, there was nothing in my local environment that nobody had done it before at that time. So, but I decided I wanted to do it, and I did. And, you know, it started working. That gave me the confidence. That singular thing gave me the confidence to do every other thing that I have done since then, you know, just because I did it. And that stopped. So I started freelancing, you know, in my small 1-bedroom, 1 apartment, like that. You have to bend before you enter the sitting room. You know, and that was where I was. I would just do small websites for people and all that. But it was not, today, one website this month, next month, nothing, another month, something. But still, I still felt, don't worry, everything will be fine. I will make it. And I was, you know, struggling like that. Somebody called me one day and said, oh, my name is Hannah. I couldn't even remember. And then this person said, we work together. That's my first company. She said, we work together. So I said, And then I remembered him that he had worked for 3 months. So this guy worked with me. But for some reason, he was employed, but I realized that he was not so good with programming. So I was training him. Sometimes I'll cover for him, you know, with my boss and all that. But after 3 months, he was fired. So that was, we were not really that close because of the time. But then he called me and he said, there is somebody in their church who is who is about to start a company and needs somebody. And it feels like I'm the best person for that job. I said, I'm not looking for a job. I'm now a CEO. Hey, I'm doing
CEO at unemployed.
CEO at unemployed. I'm now a CEO. I'm doing my own thing. And I said, no, I'm not interested. I'm not looking for work. And he said, please talk to him first. I said, So, okay, no problem. I went. So this man called me and we fixed a time to meet. I came to meet him here on the island. Then I was really unserious. I didn't even dress like I was going for an interview because me, I felt I just want to go and talk. I went there, met him and his friend. I had this one red BlackBerry that I just bought, and they were talking to me. I was pressing phone. That was how unserious I was with that thing. And then, so after a while, they started asking me questions. And at some point, I was reprimanded for not being serious. That, why am I acting? And then I apologized. I became serious. I now realized that I was interested in the business, and, it was this boss, I finally worked with him for 7 years before I left. He was the country manager for NCR. NCR is the very popular ATM brand, ATM, automated teller machine, and he was the country manager for several years. So he wanted to start his own company and he needed somebody who can be a project manager, who can consult and who understands payment integrations. You understand how it works in Nigeria and all that. And the knowledge I had when I created Market Zone was my company for that vendor marketplace that I created. I had to learn how to integrate with InterSwitch. So I understood
payment processing.
Payment processing with InterSwitch. Yeah. And he had been looking for somebody. He said I was the 12th person he would interview. That nobody, he wanted somebody technical who is a programmer, who also understands payment processing. So I was the only person he got. And he was like, you are the person I've been looking for. That he wants to, I was like, okay, so what's your price? I gave him my price. He couldn't pay. Said, so when I was leaving, I said, no, how much? I can't accept that, So I left saying that.
How much it was at the time? You want to review how much it was at the time?
Yes, so I know I did. Because I just felt like if ever I'm going to go back to that, it has to be something.
What amount would have been worth it to you?
So at that point, I think I would have like 350. Okay. Would have been worth it to me. It was offering me 100,000 naira at that time. Telling you 100,000 naira.
This is 2009.
Yeah. Yes, it was offering me. I was like 100,000 naira. No. So I left. He said, go and think about it and let me know. I said, okay. But I left with but I'm also a very spiritual person. So I was praying. And sincerely, at that point, I was discontent with how my life was going. Because that was not how I saw it. Yeah. I was struggling as a freelancer. So I started praying and, while I was praying one day, the Holy Spirit told me, you are not ready for business. Yeah. I was using my coconut head to say, no, I know how to do business. I want to do business. And then he told me that I should go and accept that offer. Yeah. Well, this offer. So I called him and I said, okay, let's start. Let's see and all that. So I started. First thing was, because he was importing applications for Nigerian banks, and he was in partnership with a company in India. Yeah. So the week I got married, I started work like a few weeks before my wedding. I got married. A week after I got married, I traveled to India for training. Spent a few weeks there, then came back.
What was the experience like?
Going to India?
Yes.
For me, it was the first time I left the country. That was my first, outside the country, and it was really strange. And at that time, there is a way that Indians talk that for the first week I could not hear what they were saying. Oh my God. I had to befriend one of them, Riaz, his name is Riaz, I can't forget. I had to befriend him so that after the meeting, I will now ask him. I will now be asking him, what did they say? So what it will now be, because it was so difficult for me for the first week. But then 7 years was the training ground that was where God wanted me for my assignment in life. What I am currently doing right now, I learned so much from my boss. Because he's an astute businessman. I learned so much from him. And because, the beautiful thing at that time is because I wasn't a lazy person, I didn't complain that I was the HR because I recruited the first set of 10 to 20 staffs. I recruited them. I was the marketer. I would always go for all the sales meetings and all that with him. I was the operations manager. I was almost everything at that point while we were growing the business. And I'm so grateful to God that I was able to get all that experience, at that time. And I learned so much from him. I managed, the first project I did at that time was deploying the internet banking for Access Bank. At that time, I managed it with my team from India. We deployed that. We also deployed to several other African subsidiaries of Access Bank at that time. I deployed the first chat banking application in Nigeria, then for Sterling Bank. Yeah, and then we deployed for UBA. We also deployed several other applications, anti-money laundering applications and all that, for these banks. Worked with so many banks, that time as, the point manager for all these things. We deployed, at some point we started selling ATM machines and managing them. Deployed ATM machines everywhere in Nigeria for several banks, I've worked on projects worth billions of naira, while working with this company. And when I was leaving, I was glad the company had grown. I think had close to, with support engineers and all, close to 100 staffs. By the time I was leaving, massive, the 7th year. And, when I was leaving, I gave my boss a 3 months notice that I was going. I really appreciated how he had groomed me. He really groomed me because it was a boss, it was a, boss-employee relationship. It was almost like a father-to-daughter relationship too. And, I left to start website Chic.
No. So, how did you know that, okay, it's time to leave now and go do my own thing?
Okay, so I knew it was time to leave because I started this while I was still working with him. Okay.
So I would clients to do.
Yes. Okay. So I would explain. But then years down the line, after I started working with him, I had this idea because I'm also this person that likes to work with my hands. Yeah. So I learned a lot of craft work along the line. I learned how to make cakes. I learned how to make art. I learned how to do embroideries. I learned how to make beads, all those things. And then I realized that most of them, I didn't have to go to a training school to learn them. I learned them online. So I would just look for videos or pay, some platforms that have this kind of trainings. I now realize that everything I had learned, I learned them from, from Oyibo people. Let me put it that way. There was no local content at that time for that kind of. So I had this idea of aggregating, trainers for local craft works that people can just go online, subscribe and learn these things. So I started that business and I had my first shoot, for the videos. I had partnered with some, big names in the industry. In some of these industries, I think the first, what is it called? when you give birth and they give you leave, maternity leave. Can you imagine? The first maternity leave I had, was when I used, for what I used for that. I started and everything went well. But for some reason, the business was not doing fine in terms of, sales. Sales were just trickling in. It was just subscription. Actually, we just subscribe, watch video, buy and all that. It was then I realized that, I was a technical person. I didn't know marketing. I didn't know marketing. And it was really a struggle for me. I had a good idea, and all that. And it was a serious struggle for me to market. To market that platform. And then I remembered when I had my 6 months, we call it IT at the university that time when I was in 400 level. I interned at a software company. And then I realized that my boss then, who is also my mentor till now, one of the challenges he also had growing that company at that time was because they were just, writing code, creating applications, several applications, amazing, very brilliant applications, but nobody was using them because marketing was serious. And I remember a situation when he partnered with a marketer, and the marketer requested for 80-20 sharing, that he will take 80 and the company will take 20%. Yes, I'm telling you. And I think this is what is happening to me right now. That I know those things, but I am at the mercy of marketers. And at that point, I didn't even know anybody that could market these things for me, because information was not as much. The level of access we have to information right now is a blessing, because when I compare the struggles I had while I was growing, if it was this age where information is so readily available, I feel like it won't be as difficult. So if for, the young guns out there, you have access to information, whatever challenges that anybody is having right now, I just feel like it is because they are not, taking advantage of what is available out there. There is hardly anything, any solution that you need that you will not find out there right now. Yeah. So I didn't have that information, so I thought, okay. I started learning marketing.
How did you start learning marketing?
The same way I've always learned, by buying Oyinbo courses. You understand? That is why today there is no amount that I cannot pay to learn something, because that is
courses. You believe in buying?
Oh, a lot. I spend thousands of dollars every year. I believe it because I know that nobody is an island of knowledge. Everything I think I know today, there are people that know way better, and I can tap from their knowledge and use it, So I so much believe in it, and I've been doing it way before knowledge is, you understand? I learned how to make cake. How many years ago? Online. All the popular bakers, foreign bakers, I know them because I learned from them that time, So, I started learning, buying courses, that time. I remember I got a lot of certifications from Ryan Days. So I would subscribe to digital marketing. That is, I would subscribe, learn, get a certification, do another one. I will save again, save money. When I have the money, I will buy another one. So that was where I started learning about sales funnels, automation and all that. And I started applying it. It was when I started learning this thing that I thought, let me come online and create an Instagram page and just start sharing my knowledge. So that time I created an Instagram page, named it Techie Mayu. This was, today now, I think it was 8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
About 8 years ago. So I created Techie Mayu. That's what I named the page that time. So I was just sharing my knowledge. People will come into my DM, be asking questions. I will give them, tell them, get on a call with them, tell them, you will do it like this. You do it. By that time, I had forgotten the business that brought me into marketing in the first place and then we got so busy at work too, so I didn't have a lot of time. One day I decided to do a free WhatsApp training, So I did the WhatsApp training, got, I don't know, maybe about 100 people or so into the WhatsApp that time. I had the training with them. And then by that time, I started doing chatbots. Chatbot just came out that time, and then I learned it, So I thought, I can do this, and then landing page. I'll create landing page for you, do your chatbots and all that. Yeah. And I charged people 40,000 or so that time, and then I made about almost 600,000 naira. And then I was like, what is happening here? And I was like, what is happening here now? So this thing, is it this easy? Like I would just sell to people and they would just pay like that. Business owners, at that time. So the first question you asked me that, how did I get here? That's how I got here. That's how I got here, And then I saw, it was like a proof of concept for me that this is a business. So I started that, and I was still working with my boss that time, and then I would leave my house very early, get to the office very early, quickly do some work, then start office work. When I close, I would stay over till like 9 before I leave, or 10, so that I would not go and stay in the traffic. So I'll use that to work again. Get home, I will work again till around 2 a.m.
You were married at this point?
I was married, I had children. I would work till like 2 a.m., then sleep, and within 3 months, I knew that I was at the breaking point, and it was time to leave. So I went to my boss, told him that, and he knew that I always have side gig. You understand? Because I didn't hide it from him at any point. So he knew I always had, side gigs, doing this and all that. So I thought, sir, one of my side gigs is doing very well right now. By that time, I was making monthly. I was making like times 7 of my salary monthly at that time. So I just knew I had to, leave and really do something out of it. And we are here today.
Wow. So Lagos traffic was a contributing factor to your deciding to leave?
To leave him, it was never.
When you got to your breaking point?
It was never because of the traffic. Like I said, I always avoid the traffic.
That's what you're saying now. If there was no traffic, you would not.
If you want to look at it that way, Lagos traffic was a blessing.
So if there's no traffic, you would not have to avoid the traffic.
I won't have to avoid the traffic. Maybe I will just, but it will be the same. It had no negative effects whatsoever, if that is what you want to say.
No,
if that is your point.
I'm not saying it had a negative effect. I'm just saying that.
For me, you see, the thing about Lagosians is we are versatile. You see, any challenge that's been, what you consider a challenge in Lagos, you understand? We consider it as stepping stones. We consider it as, tonic tablets that gives us power, so that we can, anywhere we get to in this world, we will survive.
I say it's not suffering.
We are not suffering, please. Don't say we are suffering. It is, we are not suffering.
People will wonder what they have against Lagos.
I don't know. What do you have? I will send you back to your Port Harcourt. What are you doing in Lagos in the first place?
Just because I have to film with you.
You see, you should have given me plane tickets. Ask me to come to Port Harcourt. Next time, don't come to Lagos.
So they are beating out ourselves in Port Harcourt.
Don't come to Lagos and be bullshitting Lagos like this.
Avoid coming here. I will avoid it. If
you like, it's your loss. If you like, Lagos is a beautiful state. Can't you see?
So this is like the website Chic story, website Chic done that. How did you make your first million?
I made my first million within a few weeks of starting that thing. So I was through. So I trained. So my first funnel, for my own business was training business owners. At that time, I called it lead magnets. I would do that as I would train them, show them what automation can do for their business and all that. And then I would charge them to provide that service for them. Create landing pages for them, create websites, that was how I made, from different, but my first million from one job, was a website. Several years ago. It was a website. So, and since then.
How did you gather the boldness to charge? Prices, yeah.
Okay. So, I realized that the first time I was going to increase my price generally, I think when I started, when I really started my agency and I started charging people for websites, I started with 150,000 naira or so. So the first time I was going to increase it, I increased from that 150, 200, I increased it to 350,000. Yes. And it just happened that this person called me on the phone. I had been thinking of increasing the payment, but I didn't have the confidence, but I've been praying about it. So this person just called me. In fact, I don't want to mention her name because she's really popular online. She called me and she was like, oh, I need a website. She sells products. She needs an e-commerce website. And then I was like, okay, and then this is what I want. Okay, this is what I can do for you. And she said, so how much? And I said, and someone just said, this is a good time to just start this thing. I just said 350,000 naira. And she said, okay. Right there on the call. She said, so what's the account number? I called the account number for her on the call. And she just paid. She didn't even ask for, oh, can I pay something now? What's your mobilization fee? Or anything like that. She just transferred all the money.
That was like light bulb moments.
I said, I said, So customers like this exist. Okay. And that was where, at that point, also was when I started learning about mindsets. Yeah. I started, at that point, I had started buying some courses on mindset, even my church then and all that. So that started changing my mindset about pricing. That you don't have to, the people that will struggle, you charge them 150. At the end of the day, they will pay 100,000 now. You will see struggle with their projects. This person, the project went on smoothly, no stress, nothing. And that was it. I don't think it was up to 6 months. I increased again to 750. So what I would usually do, I do it gradually. Yeah. I do it gradually. And, so by the time I started charging 1 million, it was not... Yes, I've built the muscle. I've built the muscle so much so that now that I charge, several millions, even for our other products like the digital products launch where we charge people, I charge multiple millions for that product. And one day, somebody in the DM came. And, normally when you come into DM, we will encourage you to book a call with one of the salespeople. And, this person didn't want to book it. He said, just tell me. So I gave him the price. And this person just said, I think I was not even the one chatting with the person. It was one of I later read it. Immediately, this person said, Mayowa, and then put exclamation mark like 6. So you opened your mouth to tell me, I don't know what they charged, maybe 1.5 million or something like that. You opened your mouth to tell me 1.5 million in this Nigeria. The person, I think it was a guy, typing. Now what for you people? It was just...
It's always those people that do that. Those people that say, just tell me the price.
I blocked him immediately. My staff could not do it. Me, immediately I read it, I just blocked him. I replied though, I then blocked him after I replied that. The fact that you cannot afford it does not mean that you just say things about it. When I told him that, When you're ready and you can afford quality service, come back.
What do you think about people that cannot necessarily offer a quality service, but they go ahead to charge
It's nonsense.
A lot?
It's nonsense because, why are you charging so much if you will not provide quality? Do you think people work for their money? I tell this to my staff every time, that when people pay you, they expect to be served. We collected that money so that we can serve them in return. That's the meaning of the money we collected from them. So you have to provide quality and make sure that whatever it is that you promise, you deliver. So accept what they are asking for is outside what you have promised them. Because to be honest, quality also is, is relative. What is quality to you may not be to me, and it all depends on the promise. What is the promise? But it all depends on the promise, like I said, what did you promise? Because, for example, the same thing that I promise and I charge $1 million for it, another person may promise the same thing and charge 500. At the end of the day, it boils down to the promise you made. Did you deliver? So that's quality. Beautiful. You understand? And when you deliver, everything is as it should be.
So in your years of experience working a job, running your own business, working a job and running your own business again, what's one common mistake you see a lot of business owners make?
In terms of, because there is a lot, so I can streamline it.
In terms of running their business generally, what are some common mistakes you see them make?
So I think the first thing I would say is thinking that, especially now where you hear a lot of people talk about structure. So you have to have structure. But a lot of times, especially maybe for some businesses, it can be easy to download structure from maybe other people's business or from a coach and all that. And you just put it in place and it just works like that. You understand? For me, I think I'm looking for the word. Gosh.
Find it.
I'll find it.
We have time.
At the beginning, when I started increasing my, staff strength, and I was still I would work as if I didn't have a staff. I was still really working hard, I didn't even have time for my children. Not that I hardly, let me be honest. At the beginning, when I started this agency, I didn't have time. I was so busy. I was always working, and I was trying to implement structures. I attended so many structure programs. They didn't make sense to me, and I thought I was the one. I thought it was my problem until I realized that, sometimes your structure can be, you will be the only person that will understand the kind of structure that you're supposed to create in your business. By the time I finally understood that, and I now started creating the structure to suit our own mode of operations and what we're doing, things became better. Things became better because for example, before the pandemic, we had an office at Yaba. So it was easier monitoring my staff and all that because we were all in one, space and working. I can decide to stand up, go and look at what this person is doing. Maybe the person will quickly minimize browser. That kind of thing. It was easy for me to call somebody, have a meeting with them, ask them to go and execute and all that. And then the pandemic started and, we started working remotely. After lockdown and then the lockdown was off, we started working. I realized that I don't think there's any need for me to go back to physical office. Let's just continue remote. And we started. 8 months down the line, one day I dragged my husband. I said, today let's go and look for office. These people want to kill me. Let's go. And we had a meeting that morning. I just finished shouting. I don't think I can cope again. Because these people want to, I was almost running mad. But after we had, visited about 4 places, I realized that anger cannot parent. Because I thought, what is it now? At that point, it was like a year after COVID. Yeah. So I said, I thought it was, I said, what is happening here? So I calmed down. Nobody told me to calm down. I calmed down by myself. And then I thought, okay, so I'm already doing this thing. What exactly do I need to do? And at that point, there were a lot of case studies online of how businesses were going remote, and all that. So, and, usual me, I went into my research mode and I started researching how exactly I can make a success out of, running a remote team, especially in a country like Nigeria. So I created my own customized, and it was at that point that I also now, implemented proper structuring for my, company. And how many years now? Almost 5 years and counting. We've been fully remote. I have my team members all over Nigeria, east, south, north. I even have a few, outside the country. Yeah. So first thing I would tell business owners is that understand your own process. Don't compare yourself with another company, because whatever applies to that company may be totally different from what we work, for you. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that, me, I am an agency owner. Advices that I may give, it may come from the, point of view of an agency owner, not necessarily, other businesses. But from my own point of view, I would also say that as a business owner, be knowledgeable yourself. So because of the kind of person that I am, where I like knowledge, I love knowledge. So you will never find me not learn. Every day I must learn something new. That is me. So because of that, there is no department. I have 7 departments at my agency right now. There is no department that I cannot do what they are doing. So I don't have a staff that I cannot do their job. I may not like doing it, but I can do it. So because of that, it is very easy for me to call you out on your bullshit. Because I know that what is this? You can relate. It's very easy for me to call you out on what is this? What are you? I don't even need to, before any project goes out, it has to pass through my table for review. So I don't need to spend 2 minutes before I know whether you have done what you're supposed to do. Even if I don't have the full brief of the project, I already know that you have done rubbish, So, and then it helps my team because I think I lead by example. So a lot of times when I tell them the fact that you are an email automation expert does not mean that will be the only thing you will be. You understand? What are the things that, look at the touch points as an email automation expert, for example. Who are the people you work with? You work with copywriters. They write the emails, for example, send it to you. You work with designers. They design the landing pages that you're going to automate with and all this. Have you sit down with yourself and try to think, this cannot be the only thing I know? If they give you a copy and that copy is not well written, you should know. So that means you need to learn copywriting. You cannot say, oh, no, my own is just automation. No. So these are some of the things that I allow people to grow in my agency. So people start with me as interns. I have people that have been working with me as full staff for as long as 3 years, 4 years, that they started with me as interns. And today they can do a lot, because I allow them to, work here, then do this, do that. So they learn a lot of things. And, that has really helped me to, be able to congregate, even when we are short staff in a department, for example. Other people from other departments can still pitch in that department when we are short staff, or we have a lot of projects and, a department is taking the heat, other people can pitch in. So I would say that make your organization, especially when you are a small business, and people come in to work with you, make it a training ground. Because that was, for my story, where I worked with my boss for 7 years, and it was a training ground for me. So I took that ideology, yes, and I am modeling it. I am modeling it. I am training. That's when I am inducting you, as a staff, I will let you know that you are here to come and learn. No matter your level of skill that you are bringing in, you are coming to learn. You will learn a lot of things. So that's what I do, and because of that, my staff turnover, I have people working with me for years. I make sure that I increase salaries often. I don't make it a toxic place for them to work. Even though we work remotely, I make sure that at least once a year we'll have a physical session. We'll usually have a retreat at the end of every year. Since the lockdown, every year we'll have a retreat in Lagos. Everybody will come down and then we'll spend like a week together. Just so, yes, to why Lagos. To Lagos, because why not Lagos?
It's in this chaotic place. Why not another city?
What's the meaning of chaotic?
This is chaotic.
Yes, to Lagos, because why not Lagos?
Why not Abu?
Lagos is where everything is happening.
Why not Ibadan?
Don't let me say anything about Ibadan, so that's
let them.
So that's my they will not call me that I am anomaly. You know the meaning of anomaly? I'm a bastard.
Anomaly. All right. So talking about staffing, what do you put into consideration before you hire somebody?
Yes. So for me, the first thing is not even your skill, because I have realized that no matter, like I said, no matter your skill level, when you come into the agency, you have to learn how we do things at the agency. So the first thing I want to say is, how resilient are you as a person? Because when you are coming to work in a tech environment like that, where you have to be able to think ahead, where you cannot just, take things as they are. I don't know how to really express that. I will look at how resilient you are as a person, your strength. I will look at how you face challenges, generally. And then one other thing that is also very important to me is, if I know that you are not the kind of person that can stay with an organization, I will not employ you. Because I don't want you to work with me for 3 months, 6 months, and then you say you're leaving. That is why, up until recently, I don't employ graphic designers. That has been the only role that has been the most challenging for me in the history of my agency. Graphic designers, they are very difficult to work with. No matter how much you pay them, they will default because they are taking projects there. They have several things they are doing. They will default. You will shout. At the end of the day, they will still be the one. You'll be managing them, They will still be the one that will say, I'm leaving. So I just, contract it out. And, at the beginning of the agency, I would employ graphic designers. They will spend 6 months and leave. Employ 6 months and leave, which does not happen in any other department where people will come and 6 months they have left. No, it doesn't happen, except for that. And then I stopped for about 3 years. But recently, I employed another graphic who I had been working with on a contract basis for about 6 months. And then, we decided, okay, why don't you come in and work full time? So in recruiting, that's what I look for. And then when you come in, of course, I will train you because you have to be trained. And then that's it.
Beautiful. The most successful people.
And I've never looked at whether you're a graduate.
Oh, nice.
I've never. Because it does not matter. In my kind of business, it's your skill that matters to me. If you like, have PhD. You understand? I will not even look at it when I'm looking at your CV. Yeah, I look for other things. So for me, it doesn't matter.
Awesome. Awesome. So the most influential and successful people you've studied over time, right? And the ones you've been able to associate with. What's uncommon traits that you think they have?
They attack challenges head on. That's one common trait that I have seen, you know. So they expect challenges and welcome it. So while I was growing, you know, in business, anytime I have challenges, it will affect me emotionally. I'll be down. I'll be worried. I'll be, you know, and then as a woman, you know, we can sometimes be emotional and all that. But then I realized that, you know, I started studying people and I realized that I have to embrace challenges because they will come. I don't pray against them again because at the end of every challenge for me is growth. So now when they come, I'm ready to tackle whatever it is. And I have seen, so that is a common trait with most people that I know that are doing really well. I would say that another trait that I notice is the love for knowledge. Love for knowledge and diversification. Right. So that's especially I notice. So I have different people that I study. When I study you for money, like you have money, you have a lot of money. How did you get it? You understand? What I have noticed is that, you know, there is a lot of diversification going on. These kind of people, they have businesses in different sectors, you know, and that is one thing that I am also trying to do now at the level where I am right now, where, okay, I have the agency is doing well, working, my coaching business is doing well. I have a few other businesses, you know, that I also now run. I've started, and, you know, before you know it, so that I can start eating with Dangote, you know.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, one last question before we call it a wrap. When people watch shows like this, right, they watch it and they're like, oh, wow, Mayowa, this is my ideal kind of entrepreneur. I want to be like her. She has everything figured out. And all of that. So this is an attempt to expose us to your human side a little. What are you still trying to figure out right now?
So I'm trying to figure out how to be the best mom to my preteen daughter. Right? So right now, that's what I'm trying to figure out because I don't understand so many things in that area. When I was a preteen, you know, I didn't know anything. But children of nowadays, you know, so I'm trying to figure that out. I'm also trying to figure out how to do more leisure activities. So I'm somebody that you need to start on time because it takes time, especially if you're addicted to work. I like working. I enjoy working. And there's a story behind that too, but it's a long one. We can't go into it. The reason, do you know that anytime I'm asked, you know when you are in a community and then you're asked to introduce yourself and then they say, what is one fun thing about you? I don't know how to answer that question because there is no. I will not
build funnels for fun.
I build funnels. How is that? I will not think about it. What is one fun thing about you? I will not be pitying myself that you see your life. You are always working. Nothing to say. And then I realized that, just like you said, I build funnels for fun. It took me a time, introspection and all that, to realize that work for me is fun.
Yeah.
because, like I said, there's a story behind it. Why? Because when I work, it is a testament to a testimony that I have, that I had always thought that I will not be able to do the things that I do today because of an health condition that I had. And because of that, I thought, and the things that I do today is a very big testament, to that. So because of that, I enjoy working, because when I work and then I get results, I feel so good.
Beautiful.
That is the fun thing about me. Beautiful. So I'm trying to figure out now how to reduce that aspect of my life, go out more. I can be, this remote thing now also
restricts you.
Yes, a lot, because when I work, if it had been that I go out to work and all that. So today I may be in my house for 1 week. 1 week I will not even get to my gates, not to talk of driving out, except going to church on Sundays. So now I try to go out more. Like this evening now I'm going for a movie with some people, and yeah.
That's nice, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to let you go because you have like a meeting to go attend right now. But we'd love to have you again. Maybe in another episode. Maybe so there's this other part of the show where we have like a couple of entrepreneurs, not just the individual interviews and all of that. Probably invite you for one of that before I depart from this your chaotic city. By the way.
We'll see, chase you out.
If you want to move to Lagos, here's my advice to you: don't move. Stay where you are. It's better.
Please don't listen to him. Don't listen to him for your own good. Don't listen to him, for your own good. Lagos is a very beautiful city, and we are enjoying it.
That's deception, though.
He doesn't know what he's saying.
Please tell them to subscribe to the channel.
Please subscribe to the Joseph Don channel.
Yeah, the name of channel Joseph Don actually.
Yes. Right. Subscribe right now. Click.
Please subscribe, okay? Okay, guys, I'll see you in another episode of the Entrepreneurs Connection. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Take care of yourself, everybody, and